Another thing that has happened, that's case in this whole empty scenario thing, is there's been there are a lot of situations where the situation is a repurposing of empty solution for the wrong or an inappropriate need. And this is called the inbound inward versus the outbound outward dilemma. Um, and and just the concept of repurposing I'll get to here is that what I said in a multilingual computing technology article back in, I think it's 2004. I got here, it's number 62, so it's number 62, issue 62, March 2004, and a supplement article specific about machine translation. I wrote the intro to the whole series of articles, and I just had a one-page intro, and it's called the intro is called thinking about machine translation. And I said in there that the MT failures that I've seen over time, MT post editing, are due to a repurposing without reworking the implementation, because the approach to the system that was used had been already used for one thing, and then the company said, oh, we want to use it for another purpose, and they repurposed it, but they didn't rework and adapt the solution, and so it turned into a failure because it had not been reworked. The repurposing was just, oh, we just want to apply it to this other scenario too, without re-looking at it. So bad decision. Um, so why is that? Because there's inbound and outbound. I'll just quickly explain what it is, and then there are a couple, presentations and stuff you can go look at for more details. But really simply, inbound and inward translation versus outbound. So inbound and inward translation is basically content gisting. There's an article, a newspaper article, or some content. I don't know what it is in my language I don't know. And so I'm going to do content gisting. I'm going to run it through an MT system to understand the article, to get a gist of the article, and and it's okay if there's errors, because I have a tolerance level. I'm just trying to get anything about that article to understand. Okay. And sometimes this can be also been in the translation when you create a draft translation, where like if a company wants to decide, hey, we want to publish or we want to translate a book on archaeology or something, and it's in another language we don't know, and we don't want to pay for the translation yet. We want to do the translation as a publishing company, but we want to get an idea of what it's about from the content. So they'll run it through an MT system to get an idea of what the content is, just to kind of get an idea of what it is. And then that's used to qualify and say, yes, okay, now we want to go forward and actually do a translation of the book. This is used for just getting it's content gisting, another kind of thing. And there are other kind of examples of this in meeting minutes, agendas, and stuff. It's okay if it's not perfect, because it's the lifespan of it might not be that long. That's just called content gisting. Okay, tolerance level of accuracy. Just need to get content gisting. The opposite is translation for outbound or outward, and that's called translation for publication, because you're trying to sell. The company's trying to sell a service or a product, and so they'll ask translators to do it, to do the translation, to have a high quality translation, because that's a reputation, brand, and all that kind of stuff. And so you're trying to sell into other languages. It's globalizing. It's the globalizing kind of field of. We're talking about, globalizing our product and globalizing it. So it's trying to put it into from one source language into multiple languages to sell something. That's translation for publication. So inbound, inward, outbound, outward. There are a couple, other articles and videos more about that. Go read my 2004 localization world presentation on inbound versus outbound translation is presented in the panel on localization and customer support. So that was in 2004 in Germany, Bonn, Germany. Okay, so and I did a video on my YouTube channel that's about Google Translate, Microsoft Bing Translator, Skype Translator, and I kind of give some examples of this. And that was a video that was actually done for an interview for the Herald Tribune, if I remember correctly. So it's inbound, outbound. This is a key thing, and the lesson learned from all this is you don't want to push button repurpose a project by taking without fully qualify the need. So what I've seen is that I've seen projects where the original implementation of the company had been done for an inbound purpose of content gisting, but after they say, oh, we want to use it for this other thing, it's an outbound, outward purpose. And if you don't requalify the need and you apply the system that's really good for an inbound approach and not really made for outbound kind of purposes, it's going to run into a problem. Okay, it won't work, and that is not a technology problem. That is a sales problem. Salespeople need to qualify the need. Salespeople need to say, "Hey, well, you don't want to." No, it's just not simple. That's easy. You gotta. We want to do this, and that has other services we got to do in this. Don't always say yes. Say no more than you say yes. Okay, so this is again, it comes back to these things I just mentioned.